On the 10th of April 2022, I started my own console challenge, a journey to beating every PlayStation 2 game. I've been collecting these games for many years, and one day I said to myself, why am I not playing these? They're gathering round, gathering dust. Games are meant to be played, so that's what I'm gonna do. We've already encountered some epic moments. There's been laughs along the way.
Oh no. Ah! It's actually pretty good.
And of course, a few tears. But one thing's for sure, we're gonna beat every PS2 game. It's time to boot up game number 3, Robots. Licensed movie game tie-ins. If you grew up and played video games in the 90s and the 2000s, they were everywhere. And honestly, most of them were pretty great too. Disney knocked out some awesome hits back in the day. I had a lot of fun times, especially with some of the titles. And it wasn't locked onto just like any one console. They were everywhere. Portable gaming, PC gaming. If you really were hyped for a movie that came out, 9 times out of 10, some form of game, be it on home console or PC, had a game for it. Time and money, though, is obviously a huge issue with game development, and that's the issue with modern gaming today. It takes a lot longer to make a game that looks like appealing to an audience and interesting to play for kids as well as adults. So usually modern console gaming is kind of died out, and mobile gaming is the best way for it. So if you wanted your movie tie-in fix, it's usually the best way most companies would approach this. In a way, it's a shame that we've lost out on such a iconic part of gaming. But at the same time, hey, a video game is a business model. We can't always get what we want. The 6th gen of gaming, though, was not shy to show off movie video game tie-ins. Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks. If there was a movie coming out, there usually was a game coming out for the systems as well. We would overlook a lot of what the features these games used to offer, but you grabbed this because you were hyped for a movie, enjoyed a movie, and you were able to get like unique FMV content and director's cut footage. Otherwise, you'd have to wait for a DVD to come out. So this was the next best thing until you were waiting for your favorite movie to come home onto the screens. So when it came to Blue Sky Studios' Robots, it was going to also get its own video game tie-in. These guys were famous for making the movies, the Ice Age series, but yeah, they also made this Robots movie as well, and obviously, as you can see from this little trailer, there was obviously always some sort of epic hype movie guy to say, don't forget to get the game after you've seen the movie. There's loads of these games to enjoy, and I can't wait. And even though Blue Sky Studios is no longer with us, at least some of their movies made it to the PS2, so we'll be able to enjoy some of them. When we do start our dive into this game, we are treated to our first FMV. And like most of these movie tie-in games, usually the movies and the FMVs of the game are from the motion picture itself. It's something we overlook now because we can look at clips easily on YouTube, but this was like gold dust to get these tiny little bits of gameplay. But as it starts up, Rodney's dad will commentate and narrate most of these chapters, and we start off as baby Rodney, or child Rodney really, and this is our first opening level. Like most platformers, this first level will serve as our tutorial, and Rodney's dad is just saying our first objective is to go and collect blueprints for this invention. And that's just what we'll be doing through this first chapter, first act. We are tasked to do so, and as it begins, I instantly felt like a Ratchet and Clank vibe, in a way, with the nuts and bolts on the floor, and just how the city looked, really. The level will continue and string together these tutorial sections, where Rodney's dad will tell you simple actions like jumping, attacking, sliding. Each action will lead to a blueprint that will eventually complete this stage. So that's what really is happening here during this not so difficult stage. It wouldn't be though, it's the first stage after all, right? So once our father has taught us how to do tricks, that's just what we have to do. You explore this little HUD area to find the 16 blueprints, and they're not that hard. It's a very confined area, it's very small, and there's quite a set out route to do with grind rails and collection paths and bolts. And yeah, you eventually find all these blueprints ready to take back to Rodney's dad. With all the final blueprints in hand, we dash over to Rodney's dad to tell him the good news. And he's very excited that we've prepared these blueprints, and thus we invent our first invention together. Rodney's dad is pretty impressed with the scene, and he even confesses that we're ready to grow up. And this is actually a really cool concept. I've never really thought about this in robot lore or any movies, but Rodney is given his grow ups, and after a little sweet scene and off screen shenanigans, it's shown that Rodney has upgraded himself to an adult. I thought this was really cool, actually. I mean, it must be in the movie as well, but it's a system and like concept I never thought about, and yeah, really cool. Well, since we've grown up now, we go and check out Rodney's dad again at his place of work, which is a cafeteria. And because we are now a big grown up, we're allowed to use our own scrap launcher, we are told, which basically will serve as our ranged counterpart of the game. And as I said earlier, I already had massive Ratchet and Clank vibes from this game. And as I was messing around with the inventory wheel, it just solidified my realization of how close and similar the games would play out. So we equip the scrap launcher, we're told, like most tutorials, go and test it out here. So we are going to destroy some plates at his father's place of work with the scrap launcher. And it's just simple press the shoot button and shoot in the direction you're facing. There's no lock on, to my knowledge, when I was playing this. So it can be a bit awkward to shoot at enemies, as you'll see later on. But you are told also during this section that there is a like aim mode which you can mess around with, which does help for more accuracy in a way. You're able to aim your shots and more precisely shoot these scrap launcher bolts wherever you need be. So we're told to shoot this target, and thus completing the tutorial and destroying Rodney's dad's place of work at the same time. What a lovely, dedicated worker. So, in the world of robots, scrap is both currency and ammunition. The best of both worlds, some may say, and that's how this game will be playing out. Also, some of you eagle eyed viewers may have just realized, oh, why wasn't the timer running? Don't worry, I do notice while we do this playthrough. So I fix the problem quite rapidly. Notice that we've been playing this game for about 20 minutes into the run. So yeah, don't worry, we do rectify that situation. And this happens sometimes when I do my PS2 challenges. I do forget to start the timers or stop the timers, but we do usually rectify the problem when this does happen. So yeah, brownie points to anyone that did spot it before it came up on the video. GG. So Rodney's dad says there's some commotion out back where the cafeteria is, and lo and behold, there are some little evil robo dogs where we are going to finally test off how to shoot and destroy these beloved creatures. And after a dodgy little bit of camera management, which can be a bit of an issue in this game, yeah, just pew pew them in the face, and that is the basics of the combat and the tutorial wrapped up in one. We're very eager to go over back to Daddy-O and say we're ready to go on our first adventure, but before we can go on our adventure, we need to get a train ticket, and train ticket costs gold scrap. Gold scrap that our father doesn't have, but if we raid and break into the town hall where there's guards, we'll find some there. You know, normal, easy theories here. When we're loaded inside to the town hall, we find one of these weird devices, vending machines kind of things. Once again, things I've seen before in Ratchet and Clank series, but these serve as both a save point and a merchant. So whenever you get up to these, always make sure to save your progress. And then once that is done, yeah, there's just multiple things to buy. You know, ways to increase your currency, like rupee bags from Zelda games, ways to like spot objectives in your search icon, which in the future actually helps out hugely. And there's also a really weird thing on sale. The one thing I wouldn't recommend, it's up to you. You spend the money however you want to spend the money. But you can also get this trick bot currency, which I'll just show you quickly my reactions to it. I'm sure you'd also not think it's worth it. What does that do? Oh, hang on. Wonderbot trick. Oh, you are kidding me. What a waste of money that was. It literally is teaching it a trick. I thought it would help. Yeah, so just watch out there. But while we're inside the town hall, we are going to have to collect 10 gold scrap. Now, I like this game. I will say this before giving a final overview, but this game follows a very similar gameplay loop throughout the course of the game. You either have to collect 16 blueprints for something, it's always 16, I think, or 10 gold scrap. Now, it's not a problem, but eventually it's so predictable. Like, you go to a new zone, it's like, oh, do they want gold scrap or do they want us to make a blueprint? Just a little gripe I had with this game while playing it. Still, with our gold scrap in hand, we go see Daddy O one last time to say our goodbyes. We're going to get a train ticket and get out of town and progress to the next stage. And after another little quick FMV, we head into the city to carry on our robot tale. And, well, you've got to progress in this game. We've got to talk to that inventor over there. Do you know what we need to do to progress? I'll give you a minute to think and, yeah, you ready? Okay, then. So when we go over to the inventor, he really doesn't want us to really go see Big Weld at all. He's against it. But then suddenly he sees our cute little robot friend and goes, "Oh, wait a minute. I've got an idea. Oh, here, have an invention. Yeah, but I'm not going to give you the invention. No, 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 no. Go find 16 parts of the invention, and then I'll let you progress this gap," which is what you can clearly see here. There's an activation device. We need to invent the right thing to progress, and that's how it goes. It was a little gripe. It gets very repetitive, but hey, that's what this robot game is all about. So as long as you're prepared to do collectathons in a fixed collectathon environment, you'll be alright with this game. Still, there are some sketchy moments in this game. I found the penultimate blueprint in this room, and I was near the end of the stage, so I was a bit worried going, oh god, where is the last one? So there is an upgrade in the shop where you can obviously see mission objectives through first person mode. Maybe I would recommend buying that if you aren't going to be too frugal on stages, so you don't hit a brick wall. Because if you don't find these blueprints, you can't progress the game. That's the brass tacks of it. So just a little heads up with kind of the problem with the game design this game has sometimes. So after walking around the stage and collecting all the blueprint parts, it is constructed and we get our remote control. With the remote control, we are able to control our little buddy drone device to help progress points of the game. It is a pretty useful progression device. It's an activation tool in a way. As you see, we have to go onto that flashing green beacon, which will then make the robot fly around. And basically, the way to activate any device is to electrocute the poor little guy into these like electrical devices, and yeah, activate the device it controls. Thus, the bridge is open, and we're able to move on to the next stage. Now, when we did move on to the third stage, the city, oh boy, did the first part of this level really annoy me. Was really confusing as well. Basically, once again, we are given the blueprints to invent something from our new friend here. But obviously, to get the invention invented, we need to collect 16 blueprints. He's a recurring inventor character. This is where we're going to get most of our inventions from. But yeah, for the meantime, collect the parts for this new blueprint and bring them back to him. End of. Like most of the inventions of this game. But hark! We can't collect the blueprints without going on a transport pod. And how much does a transport pod cost? It costs 10 bolts, so we've got to find 10 bolts before we can go and get the blueprints. So yeah, gold bolts and blueprints this time round. The issue I had though in this stage, and it took for like 15 minutes, was I had 5 golden bolts and I just couldn't find the last one. And I spent everywhere. I jumped on roofs, I jumped on bins, I hit everything. And I was like, where the hell is this last golden like bolt collection? And like most gamers, when you're desperate, you just start doing everything. And I just start talking to people. And yeah, this guy in particular starts like this in-game cutscene. You can see like the widescreen bars at the bottom, and he starts glossing over this lovely old clock in the square. And yeah, as it progresses and the clock gets talked about, basically our little robot friend dives into the clock, does some sort of shenanigans inside there, and yeah, lo and behold, destroys the damn thing. And our random rotund guy here panics and goes, "Oh, quick, you've got to fix the clock, quick. I'll help you any way I can." So I was like, my God, really? You hid this behind an NPC to progress even more? But here's the kicker. We've got to collect 5 clock parts. Yeah, it really is a collectathon galore here. Collect the 5 clock parts. Take it back to this guy. He gives you the final golden bolts you needed to get the ticket. Then, with the 10 golden bolts, we're now going to be able to get on the train or transport device, whatever he says, to finally progress this level and go on and collect the blueprints. Yeah, in particular, this stage really rubbed me the wrong way. It just like how obscure everything was here. It was a bit frustrating to say the least. At least now we can finally get on these transport pods and look for these missing parts to progress the game. So after little loading times, we finally get to move on, but oh, what's this? Yeah, these transport pods are basically like gladiator balls or super monkey balls in a way. And it's the way you kind of get around the city. It's a little chaotic, but basically it's the mode of transport of the game, I guess, in the future. And we just go to the next gate and start hunting down these godforsaken parts. Straight away as I entered, I noticed that there was a character from the movie. I kind of recognized this character from movie posters and stuff I saw. So I decided to talk to them to begin with because I thought they would be important. And they want to challenge us to a race. So obviously we say yes because there must be some reason behind this. And welcome back to the Gladiator Balls. It's time to try and race and see what happens when we finally win this thing. Generally, the racing element of this is pretty straightforward. Your analog stick is going to control where the ball goes, and R1 gives you a speed boost. But these balls are incredibly flimsy. Going over oil does damage to them, and crashing into people does damage to you. And obviously, if you lose all your life, you've lost the race. So you got to be careful, especially with all these like Sunday driver balls also in the way. They really smack you about and bash you about. If you're lucky enough to roll into the limited HP items that are on the map, then you can restore your health. But yeah, you've got to be pretty damn cautious. I got really close to winning a race near the end once. Oh, I could basically see the finish line, and I got slammed in the back on the third lap at the end. You know, streamer luck, hey? But upon actual victory, we are given shock horror, a blueprint part, and we are able to start collecting the 16 blueprints that are in this area. As the hunt of blueprints continues, oh, look at this guy. He's back. Yep. There's quite a few quest givers in this area for blueprints as well as finding them. So our lovely friend here, who was the clock fanatic, has screwed up by submitting a report about the clock to the papers, but instead of it being about the clock, he has submitted his diary entries. So whatever suspicious diary entries he has submitted, he wants us to destroy all the papers before they go on sale. And if we can do that, he will amply reward us. Now, will we help him? Well, we don't really have a choice in the matter, so of course we will. There's not really side quests in this game, so we have to do this. But yeah, off we go to help this guy try and cover up his suspicious diary. For the first time in this game, instead of collecting, though, we are breaking the crap out of everything, destroying all these newspaper stands for our assistants. And when we finally break the last one, we are amply rewarded with yet another blueprint to, well, basically complete this level, as this is obviously a required element of the game. But the guy's happy, and he easily hands it over, and we are one step closer to getting our next invention. But we've got a triple triad of people that need help, as the final person that needs help in this area is a postman who needs us to find all the lost mail and deliver it to him within a time limit to help him out as well. Seems a lot of people need help, and surprisingly, all seem to have some sort of blueprint on them as well. So it's lucky that we are able to offer our services and get amply rewarded the right way about it. But still, another little collectathon, as you would expect, run around this city and find all the post. As I said earlier, this kind of gets a bit tiresome as the, gameplay element goes on. It's very obvious that you've got to do these little minor tasks. But I've done it before with games like Banjo-Kazooie, but those collectathons feel more, I don't know, relatable to the universe you're doing it in, and they feel more enjoyable. These quests all feel forced as well as tacked on, but yeah, just my gripe with this game, as I've said before. Of course, once we've worked our butt off to get all these blueprint parts, we have to go back to our inventor friend that runs this shop that we'll be returning to constantly in the game. And once given the parts, we are given the Magna Beam, which is a device that we are told will move objects and robots. Yet another progression, upgrade, ability that we now have to help us progress through the rest of the game. With this string of collectathon after collectathon of this stage, we are finally told to go to Big Weld's factory and make our way to Big Weld himself, as that was our intentional goal. So a quick exit out the door gets us a level complete and onto the next stage. The next stage is Big Weld's factory, and we are one step closer to the big guy himself to eventually beat the game. The area looks a lot nicer than the previous areas. We've got a fancy golden water fountain. Okay, the less said about that one, the better. As we do reach the door, we meet up with this guard called Tim, who is said that the place is on lockdown. We have an invention to show Big Weld, to show it all off, but we're not allowed in. No one's allowed in. How do we get in, even after we beg and plead that we need to see him? Well, we are given an opportunity, and lucky enough, all we need to do is find this guy's missing toolbox. But it's not in one piece. No. It's in more than that. That's right, it's in 16 pieces. Ah, that lovely number. Sweet 16 really is the subtitle of this game, isn't it? So that is our mission for this game. Not even getting an invention at the moment, but to find a missing toolbox. We start hop, skipping, and beating up robots, and finally buying the mission locator upgrade. As you can see here, look, I can now start seeing mission items with blue icons, which honestly is a really useful upgrade for anyone that wants to play this. Just in case you miss any items, you probably will need this so it doesn't get so frustrating. And even show up on the mini map. But we also get to use the Magna Beam, which is obviously the upgrade we got from the last level, which just is a block moving puzzle for the first part, you know, progression stuff, and able to get through the stage. This is quite a puzzle platformer stage as well. So you're doing little progressive tasks to get to the very final stages of this section. And with it all being said and done, you grab that final toolbox part and we'll go back to Tim and get a reward. Now, if you're expecting a good reward, check out this scene for just, I don't know, just see for yourself.
Oh, crank my jaws. You found my toolkit. Good work, kid.
So now I can see Big Weld.
Let me think. Sure. You can't.
No, but I found your toolkit. You can't keep me out.
Sure I can. In fact, those are my orders. Keep out the losers! That's you.
I am not a loser.
Oh, no? Well, if you were a winner, you'd be up there.
You're right. And that's where I'm going. Up there.
What a kick in the freaking balls that is, huh? But you do have to do that because this inventor here won't give you the invention until he's found out that you found the toolbox. So it is necessary, but my goodness, this game does love to pad out the levels a bit. All necessary as well, this. There's no, like, you feel like some of this should be side quest stuff, but no, this is all progressive and needed to get to the end of the game. So just like last time, we're off invention hunting up onto the higher tiers of this factory to find this super glide this time. Yep, not really much to say more than what we're going to see and what you've already seen. It's going to be beloved part collecting all over again. And once you've collected the 16 parts, shock, 16 parts, always the magical 16, we go over to our inventor guy who gives us our newly found glide ability. And I have to say, this is going to probably be one of the most pathetic glides I've ever seen in the game, as you will see for yourself right here. You just don't get any distance with this thing. Look at it. Look. Just oof. So, yeah, great. But still, it's a progressive thing. We will be using it at some points, and the most important thing is we get to move on to the next level. Except before we can get to the next level, we are finally surprised with something different. This is some sort of boss fight they put you up against. I like to call this more like a wave, a wave attack thing, where you're going to constantly whack these guys on the head and deal with a load of different robots getting thrown at you constantly. It's not really much to worry about too much. You get nipped, you got to be on your toes a little bit, but just deal with the ads, and like these big chubby robot dudes just don't seem to do anything at all, and it's just management. Also, health drops quite a lot during this fight as well, so just do your best, smack the final guy on the head, and yeah, victory is ours. Victory is ours. And that is on to the next stage. And I wish I could really tell you more, something exciting about the next stage and the stages going forward. But once again, it's better just to give you a quick overview of this stage. There's a problem. This guy is missing his head, the Robin Williams voiced robot. We need to find his head. How do we find his head? It's somewhere in the factory. As we start going through the factory, we are encountered by an inventor. Oh my goodness, that's a rare sight, isn't it? Talk to the inventor. They're going to give us an invention to progress, but we need to find 16 blueprint parts. With the 16 blueprint parts in hand, we eventually go to the other end of the stage where the inventor has magically teleported and awaits our return. And we are given our new invention this time. This one being the electro shot, which I don't ever really remember using as a weapon, even though he says it's a powerful weapon. This is more of a progression item. Still, you equip that and you shoot this weird light bulb in the middle of the room to turn on and activate all these gears, which will now become magical moving platforms. Hop over them. We grab the head that we were looking for the whole time and slide through a door that we just opened in this room, which magically is at the other end of the room we were just in at the beginning to complete this stage. This game's a bit of a mediocre experience for me, but the next couple of stages coming up, I do actually really have a soft spot for. We start with City Raceways as our first level after the previous one, and we're tasked with collecting more blueprints. Obviously, you know, the normal thing, but we're gonna have to compete in a race to collect the blueprints. We're given a pod like last time, and we are going to be returning to the same stage of the previous racing course, basically. This time around, it's more like a time trial, checkpoint kind of race game. As long as you keep collecting the blueprints, your time won't run out. And obviously, you keep yourself alive, keep your health up, and the most important thing being collect these blueprints. Now, I decided not to use boost at all. It's very much better just to take your time, as you see here, wave and weave in between the enemies. I was really enjoying this, and I think it's because the controls are responsive and the whole aspect of this section just kind of give me that kind of monkey ball itch that I enjoy of those games as well. This is actually surprisingly quite a nice, easy challenge as well. Not like the other stages where there's multiple levels, multiple layers to collect these blueprints. It's a nice, straightforward line of collectibles, and we succeed in collecting them all and win the race, technically. The victory is short-lived as we are slapped into our next stage, the old sewers, and we were given the Magna Grip upgrade, which lets us hang and attach ourselves to metallic ceilings to move about now for more accessibility. And with that stage loading, I thought, oh, time for some more platforming now. But then suddenly, I was pleasantly surprised to see we're in a ball, and this section is so much fun. This is like one of my favorite stages of the game. There's like tubes to slide down, there's like little tracks to attach to and shoot up and slide across. Yeah, there's 50 collectibles in this game, and it's quite a long level, but still, oh man, this is definitely by far my favorite level. This change in design for this part of the game really helped for me enjoy this experience a bit better. The platforming had gone on for a bit too long. The repetitive blueprint, gold bolt, and sometimes the odd occasional collectible was wearing a bit thin, I must say. And this was just a new kind of variety of platforming. I really enjoyed it. These curvy tracks, these like minecart sections. It all, like I said, monkey ball vibes. This is so monkey ball vibes, and I loved it. And if you're worried about there being so many collectibles, I'll let you in on one thing. I collected 50 out of 50, and there was one gold boat over there still. So there is some room for error. I don't know how much room for error, but I obviously missed one there, so I got 51 technically. So there is room for error. So I'll give it to the devs. There is a this level hopefully will be fun, and you don't get yourself like frustrated trying to find one odd piece. Upon our sweet victory in the sewers, we are tasked with a sewer showdown before we can progress anymore. There seems to be some issues with the parts we've collected at the inventor shop. We are informed that even though we have all the parts and we're going to be given a lovely gift, the shipment has been hijacked by some dude in the old sewer. The funky fumes have made him go crazy, and yeah, the only way to get these lovely upgrades now is to beat him up. With us being the brave robotic hero, we jump down into the sewers and are met with a very big, intimidating looking dude, and there seems to be obviously a lot of cannons, and you can already piece things together. You think, I wonder how this is going to play out. And as the fight does begin, this dude has a huge life bar, and it could be me, but I mean, other people must also notice this as you're seeing this play out. It gave me, once again, some Crash Bandicoot Neo Cortex, Entropy, Engine, like boss fight vibes with what's going on and everything that has to be done. There's a delay to these attacks as well, and yeah, it's a very long, drawn-out boss fight, this one. With this being a battle of endurance, the ads that keep getting thrown at you as well don't help. The constant dogs, and it can be really annoying at times. You've just got to constantly deal with the ads and then focus on the boss as well. But slowly, 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 just time your shots. Eventually, you can get like a decent hit off. Luckily, near the end here, he started doing this very easy pattern, which was slowly moving this way. And with one final splat on the head, he was knocked out for good. Very challenging fight. A bit tedious, but I actually enjoyed this one. Like most victories in this game, we are given an upgrade and we move on to the next stage. Big Weld Mansion. We're getting closer to the guy himself. And we're back to the platformer side of things, but this one is not a collect the blueprints mission again. We have 4 buttons on the wall here, and we need to work out a code for it to basically complete this level. This is a nice little fun one as well, actually. Something that's a little bit different. Sure, there's platforming, but, you're not burnt out with collecting stuff along the way. There's a string of puzzles in this one. It's really fun. In one room, you need to move platforms or the magnetic cans in a factory into this other back room. It's the only way you're ever going to access all the switches in this puzzle. And we eventually are able to then get this platform shifted into here. Otherwise, it's impossible to pull off this actual time trial. Once in this room, with the extra help of the platform, we're able to reach the harder to reach areas and turn off all the devices within the time limit to activate this computer at the top of the room. This is the only way you're able to reveal the code. I'm going to blur the code just in case it doesn't change. And hey, it's more of an exciting thing for you guys. But with the correct color combination entered into the 4-button layout, these platforms will raise up and you are able to eventually reach the top of them. And finally, it seems like forever now, we're able to encounter the mysterious, the legend, the one, the only Big Weld, and give this another completion on this level itself. Big Weld isn't too happy about what Ratchet is doing in the Big Weld factory, so obviously there's only one thing for it when Big Weld gets involved. That's right. We're riding his ass to victory. Quite literally as well. It's another kind of Monkey Ball stage, and it's an on-the-rails, like, dodge 'em, action-packed, like, obstacle course. And once again, it's a nice little fun break the mold kind of level experience for me. I really like this once again. There's not really too much mechanics about this. It's square to jump, triangle to duck. You're doing a lot more jumping here, though. It's more of a platformer experience. But yeah, I mean, you can see for yourself, it's just a nice little fun obstacle course reminiscent to like other Ratchet and Clank stages. Just get to the end, watch your health. It's a very easy stage, honestly, and boom, another level completed. As we approach the final stage, really, before everything else, the Chop Shop. This is going to be your typical final stage platformer. It's overly long. It's going to have difficult, annoying sections. And yeah, this is everything a stereotypical final platformer stage has, I'm afraid, for this game. It can't be a final stage without molten lava as well. You know you're near the end when you start seeing lava. It's just a telltale sign, isn't it? You're like, oh, everything seems to be harder now because we've got well, I wouldn't say it's lava anyway. It's probably like molten iron ingots all getting burnt. But, it's got that vibe, hasn't it? The Bowser's Castle final stage vibes going on. Along the way, the game's going to force you to use every gimmick and every tool you've got to get further and further into the stage. It's basically, learn all the tricks of the trade, learn your platforming skills, and get to the final segment. And this final segment with these spinning blades platforming really was like the worst experience I had. It wasn't so much the platforming, but there's this weird gimmick with the fans where you fly up, but there's a delay and I kept missing these blades. And if you fall into this lava at the bottom, no matter how high you climbed up, obviously it's the typical BS checkpoint syndrome where you get sent all the way back down to the bottom of this blade puzzle and you have to, climb it all up again. But yeah, ugh, this room sucked. But the big capital S suck happens just as I get to the top finally through this goddamn dungeon. There's a guy here, and yeah, we have to talk to him. And hey, look, listen, this is what he has to say.
Of course, I've been pretty forgetful lately, so who knows? For 10 gold scrap, I might forget what I'm doing again. What do you say? Hey, whoa. My forgetfulness don't come cheap. 10 gold scrap, I said, I believe. Come back when you can afford it.
What? Yep, just to ruin the experience on the final level, they've decided to do one last collect 10 gold scrap. And just a heads up, when you're playing this, don't climb up these blades when you enter this room and talk to that guy. There's a green door at the back of this room. Go in here first. This is where all the gold bolts are. Save yourself 10, 20 minutes of pain climbing up and having to do what I had to do. Go around this room here. They're all in this room and just collect the gold bolts because you don't need to go through the same pain I did. So nearly half an hour later, after finding the 10 damn gold bolts, we re-climb to the top of that spinning room, give him the golden bolts, and finally we're able to go through the door. I want to like this game, I really do. It's just, it seems so padded, like having to do this. Like I would have just rather gone on into the final fight, but whatever. Doing this gets us to go to the final room and finally take on the final boss of the game. Thank goodness. As Brave Rodney enters the room with his scrap launcher, big, giant, golden things, don't know what the hell they are, come pulling forward, and we're forced into a first-person segment. Yeah, this is like a rail shooter segment they decided to do, and what we're doing is just shooting waves of enemies while trying to blow up these giant golden obelisks that just keep churning out mobs. It's really another endurance battle where you've got to just manage your own protection, your own health, while dealing with these waves of enemies that are charging forward. And upon destroying the final golden obelisk, Ratchet appears and he's ready to take us on himself. This is when the actual true boss fight begins, and it's a one-on-one now finally. It's going to be us v him, another life bar fight, but it's just even more and more like ads and enemies. He's throwing bombs, you got dogs and like robots running towards you. You've really got to concentrate and focus your fire on him when you can, but also just keep yourself alive. I honestly nearly get him on my first run, but when he's on 1 pixel of health, all these dogs came out, and I'm trying to keep myself alive there. He throws a bomb on top of me, and damn, I was like, victory stolen away. There is actually a unique cutscene at the end of losing, though. Like, you're taunted for being the son of a dishwasher. Thanks for that. Yeah. So, yeah, we just take him on again, focusing our shots on more the enemies than him, just keeping ourselves alive, and just doing the same old thing. Those bombs are like the most damn annoying thing, though. Like, they can just quickly come out of nowhere. It's just all about timing as well. Sometimes you just get a bad wave, but eventually we get to a point where I deal with the last wave of these goddamn dogs, and then I just try and wail in on him at the end. Luckily, he jumps just as I'm trying to take him on. This goddamn blimp takes some shots for him, but then with a few more dedicated bullets, we take him down for good. And we finally achieve the victory with a classic Kung Fu pose. Yeah, go you, Rodney. Go you. Then the victory fanfare commences. We're given the finale FMV, the victory that we deserve, probably the final kind of scenes from the actual full motion picture itself. And then, just like that, the thing we always look for in this console challenge, the beloved credit roll. There we go. Game number 3 beaten. Robots. It took us 6 hours, 26 minutes, 38 seconds. Now, was this a good game? Well, I'm a platformer guy. I love platformers. I think if you took out the gold bolt collecting and the invention collecting and just had a way to buy upgrades or buy items or unlock items and weapons, it'd be a way more enjoyable experience. And as a collector, this is quite a cheap game. It's nothing. It's never. I don't think it's ever going to go up in price. If you like the look of this video, if you like the feel of the game, it's a good one-off. I think it's a couple of dollars, a couple of pounds, a couple of euros, whatever, wherever you're from. It's an alright game, and I give Robots an okay. It's a meh, but a good meh. So yeah, Robots, you're okay. You're okay. With that being said, today's streamer spotlight has to go to my good friend Gone Mad Tryon. He's doing an alphabet console challenge where he's playing N64, GameCube, PlayStation 1, and the awesome PlayStation 2, and playing a game for each letter of the alphabet for each console. So that's over 100 games he's doing. At the moment he's on his letter E's, and that is Evolution World. But please check him out, guys. He's an awesome retro streamer. Of course, finally, thank you to anyone that made it this far to the end of the video and watched. You are all awesome for just giving your time and attention to my content, however it is you do it. As always, we have a Discord server that you can check out. I stream live on Twitch, and I have the full playlist of all the games that we have played so far on my YouTube playlist. But just you guys checking out the content and being here for the journey is all that matters. You guys really make this an enjoyable experience for as long as I've already been doing it, and we'll keep doing it. Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have an awesome time doing whatever you're going to be doing for the rest of your day. And as always, thank you for watching the PlayStation 2 Collection Challenge.